There you go.
Hey traders, it's Cousin Benny coming to you on December the 1st, Sunday, with a look at the week ahead and a short watch list. Noting on the 29th we had a high on the ES at 1812.45 and we're currently 6 points off of that level, but we are trading plus 250 currently. NASDAQ futures are up plus 280 and the dollar is at 80.69. This is a chart of the ARCA Institutional Index, which I like to look at each week. It is a capitalization weighted index of 75 stocks most widely held as equity investments among institutional equity portfolios. And the index is designed to reflect the performance of core stock holdings of institutions. So we want to watch buying and selling of this index as institutions push the market around. You can see the larger caps here, the top 10, top 20. We'll keep an eye on these this week. We're currently in this rising wedge, which could break lower. We had a high that we moved off of, and sellers took control, but we did close positive for the week. So we're still looking very good. Note that ADX has been moving above 44 and has stabilized above that level. So the trend continues to be very strong. And also note where slow stochastics is. That's 5-1 on the slow sto. We're showing a sell signal here, but anything is possible considering the amount of POMO this week and the following 2 weeks. When we consider what happens after the Fed injects in excess of $5 billion, what happens right around the 11 o'clock mark, and then we see a surge higher. So going into the remainder of the month, it's very hard to be bearish against this buying and selling of securities. Note that on the 19th, the Fed has $7.5 billion in 2 sessions, which is remarkable. They obviously want this to rally into Christmas and the New Year. So I wouldn't fight this trend. I am currently with a bullish bias. I was out of the market for a couple of weeks because we were up against that upper trend line, and I was concerned that we could move off of this level, but it's only intensified. So the only thing I can surmise is a number of things, one of which is fund managers chasing performance into year-end for their year-end bonuses. So we can thank Learjet for this post. You can see what the expected purchase sizes are going to be this week up until Friday the 6th. So we have a considerable amount of mortgage-backed securities and Treasury. The comp has also done quite well for the year, outpacing the percentage increase year over year on the compared to the SPX. And we can see that bullish percent, after getting down here around 66, to start turning back up. The NAMO is back here in the sell zone. The NASDAQ Summation Index gave us a bullish cross, so that's a buy signal. And we can see that MACD gave us a cross to the upside as well. We have a green signal here for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 days. And NASDAQ is also on pace to get back above 25. So this is looking pretty good. Strength of trend starting to increase, so we could see this rally continue into year end. I would suspect that we're going to see something of a pullback in the next week or so, but then end higher by the end of the year. This is a chart of the comp high-low. Note where RSI is, and we can see that we have a bullish cross of the New York high-low. And whenever you see this cross to the upside of the moving average, this is a 20-period moving average, that is a buy signal. So more stocks are advancing on highs compared to lows on the comp. This is a chart of the CRB index. You can see that we're holding off of these lows and trying to move back above this 30-period moving average, which is descending. I put this box here for a box trade. If we continue to rally off of that and move lower, it's going to look bad for commodities. We can see where gold is. This is the gold chart. We're holding these lows, a higher low that we saw back in June. And also the US dollar, which has found some resistance along this upper trend line. We could see this rally up higher, which would affect stocks, you would think, but a lot of correlations have ceased to make any sense currently. Copper has been in the sideways range for a good part of the year, and we have a MACD cross on the CRB index. And note where bullish percent is. Gold monthly chart, we saw these lows down here in the 255 range, and the highs up here 1923. This is end of day monthly, and we can see that we made it down through the 382. We're trying to hold that area, but we could see it move down to the 50% level down here at 1088.45 plus or minus. Note RSI is moving back down, and MACD is really weak, as is slow stochastics. Bullish percent is moving back down lower as well. NYA high low, we can see that we have a pennant here on the NYA, and we could very well break out during the week, so keep an eye on this indicator. Note the high low is cruising sideways, which you would expect. MACD is pretty much doing the same thing on the New York Composite. Okay, this is a chart of the Russell 2000. We've been in this upward sloping ascending channel, and we've had quite a run the past 6 trading days. We broke above this pivot high here and this pivot high, this lower high, and continues to move higher. 1147 was the high for last week. Note where stochastics is, the Russell strength to the S&P, and ADX has bottomed and is turning back up again. So I'll be looking for this to move back up to this upper trend line. New York up volume to down volume, the advanced decline. We saw some good buying volume the past few weeks, compared to the selling volume, but there's really no signal here per se at present. My signals chart, we continue again to move higher in this upward sloping wedge. We're above these Kirby levels, so there's really nothing to resist up here. There's no buyers that are currently selling en masse like we did down here in the 1700 level. Bullish percent continues to move sideways. We have a nicey cross the New York summation index, so that's bullish. We have the NYMO continuing to move higher. A little sluggish. MACD is moving sideways, so no signal really there. We have ADX is back above 25 here. We're very close to it. It's 25.08, yes. So that's signaling that strength of trend is there. So we could continue to see this move higher, especially considering the FOMC and the POMO, the Fed POMO for the month of December. Looks like the Fed wants this to continue to move higher. And the number of stocks moving, trading above the 50-period moving average is tapering off somewhat in a nice orderly fashion. But the VIX has bottomed and it looks like it's moving higher. We'll keep an eye on VIX during the week. This is a chart of the XLF, the financials advanced decline percent. And what I was looking for was a break above this trend line, moved out of the way. A break above these highs here. As prices were moving higher, there was some divergence previously as we were moving higher and we had a lower high, but that's no longer the case. We broke above those highs and we confirmed that move higher. So we want to see financials continuing to move higher into this rally going into year end. This is a chart of XLB, the materials sector. We can see where we backed off of those highs on the advanced decline percent, but yet we were making higher highs. So you got to keep an eye on this. If this continues to move lower, that's not a good sign for that particular sector. It just means that we could be rotating into other stocks. I believe Mikey said that healthcare was looking good, so we're going to take a look at that. This is a chart of the healthcare sector, XLV, advanced decline percent. We can see that we moved really off of this broke out of this trend line here above this upper trend line, and we're flagging out now, which is looking pretty good, and we're making higher highs on the advanced decline percent, so that's confirming that move on breadth. XLY also making a new high, as well as advanced decline percent is making new highs too, so that's confirming. And here are the top 10 stocks in that sector. This is a chart of XLI, the industrial sector, advanced decline percent, and we can say this has been the strongest sector by far in these last couple of months of the year, but it's confirming this higher high on the XLI. We're at 50.40, and the advanced decline percent is also moving higher, so the cumulative looks very good. And this is a chart of XLU, which you would expect. The utility sector is not doing as well, with the 10-year yield hovering up there at 2.75 or so percent, and threatening to move higher. So that'll be bad for utilities and also REITs. I'll be watching the builder sector, which GTO was pointing out on Wednesday and Thursday, was looking pretty good. There was a number of stocks that looked good there. So let's take a look at those. So GTO. So talking about healthcare, we can see that we have a number of stocks that look pretty good. We have Aetna flagging out here. We have a bullish cross, 2050. Amgen, we have ABC, AmerisourceBergen flagging out. Nice grind move higher. Nice grinding move higher. Alexion looks like it could break above this level at 125. Above 125.50 looks like a breakout. If we saw a volume, a nice volume spike, that would be a good confirmation. Becton Dickinson looks like it's about to test the 20-period moving average. Might be a bounce there. Eli Lilly a little weak. Humana, like Aetna, flagging out here. Gilead flagging. Celgene flagging. Coventry. Express Scripts flagging out. Let's look at the next group on this sector. Looking good here, flagging out. Mylan Labs. Perrigo looks good. WellPoint a little bit weak here. A number of people were looking at this last week. Coming back to test the 10-period moving average. We could have a pullback to breakout here, and the 89, 90, 90 range. If that would happen, that would be a nice box trade if it bounces. But Again, that would be a retest of the breakout area. So watch for volume on that. And we also have this Kirby shelf down here just a little bit below that. This is a chart of Pulte Homes. This is one of those stocks that looks very healthy in the sector. Note the Kirby bar right here. We are flagging out. We could see this continue to move higher after a little consolidation. I believe Toll Brothers was also doing well. Pulling back off of these highs here. Let's see if we get a little bounce this week. Lennar, not as nice. We have this trend line that we're playing around with right here. And this Kirby level, this Kirby pocket, we could move up into this area here on Lennar. Navian, cheap stock, has quite a bit of debt, but we are testing this trend line right here on this descending wedge. We could break out of this. It'd be very interesting if we did, but I'd like to see a nice spike in volume, like something like this here, 15 or 20 million shares to confirm that funds are starting to accumulate. It is the end of the year, so keep that in mind, that managers will be chasing performance. So we'll look for stocks that are set up nicely to continue for the week and into the year end. Beazer Homes, looking quite well. I think this is one that GTO was pointing out. Notice where RSI is. It's starting to drift a little bit sideways, but we have this nice cup. We could come up here to the 23 range in the next few days, next couple of weeks, and then begin to flag out right around Christmas time. Note the volume looks really good. Balance volume is continuing to climb, and ADX is over 30. So the strength of this trend currently is quite nice. And we have a lack of volume, resistive volume up here above this Kirby. So this is probably one of the better ones in the home builder group. This is a candle glance of the top 25 movers and shakers that most traders on Twitter and StockTwits and on the stream are trading for the most part. They've pretty much given pause over the last couple of weeks, but a number of them are still looking pretty good, like AMBA. And we had CMG on the short side. We pointed out on Tuesday that we were losing the 20-period moving average, that we might be able to trade that short. That turned out to be good. Started a new position in Jibo Inc. on a Benziga article, and Seeking Alpha, talking about biosynthetic fuels and how Jivo has partnered with Ford and Coca-Cola. So we're looking for this to continue to move higher. No guarantees, but that's what I'm playing on that particular name. GoGo's moving sideways. Looks like it's built in a little pennant here. IGTE continues to move higher. Netflix lifting off of the 20-period moving average that was cruising along for the last month. Tesla looks like it's going to come up and test the 20-period moving average at a minimum. Scuddy looks pretty decent. We have 3 white soldiers here testing the 20-period. We closed above it slightly. VIPS is looking interesting. I noticed a few people trading that this week, past week. And we see the index having a little bit of trouble here at the 40 level. Qihu continues to stay down here below the 20 and the 50 period, so keep an eye on this one as well going into the week. The carry trade, we've been talking about this sideways move on the DBV, the Deutsche Bank Currency Harvest Fund, which is an index comparing low interest rate countries' currencies to higher interest rate countries' currencies. And typically when you see DBV moving higher, that's usually bullish for stocks. When it's moving lower, you can see here in the yellow band here, as we peaked, we started moving lower on DBV. We had to move lower on the S&P 500. This is the weekly chart. Note that we're continuing to move higher, and DBV is actually moving somewhat sideways, so it's not really giving a sell signal per se, but it's just something to keep an eye on, that I keep an eye on anyway. Alright, looking at futures, we can see that we're pulling off a little bit from where we were. We're a little bit higher earlier when we opened. NASDAQ futures are higher and looking pretty good. Dollar index is down a little bit. So that's going to do it for me for the weekend. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com with a look at the week ahead and a small watch list, keeping an eye on the top 25 movers and shakers, some of the stocks in the builders index, as well as some of the healthcare stocks that I'm looking to trade this week, going into some intense POMO for the week as well as the month. So I wouldn't be fighting the trend here if I were you. Just a recommendation. Remember, it's my recommendation and your wallet, so you have to pull the stops and things get away from you. Okay? Take care. We'll see you in the room on Monday.